Out here, there's nowhere to hide. No hangar to duck into, no runway to escape from, no backup plan when the sky turns mean. When a storm brews over the open ocean, an aircraft carrier turns into both a floating fortress and a massive bullseye. On its decks sit dozens of FA-18 Super Hornets, EA-18G Growlers, and E-2D Hawkeyes, each one a flying beast worth over $70 million. Some even push close to $100 million once they're loaded with high-tech upgrades and weapons. Together, that's billions of dollars in American air power sitting out in the middle of nowhere, completely at the mercy of the sea. When the wind starts howling past 60 knots and waves rise higher than a 3-story building, those jets can't just take off and fly away. They have to stay put, chained down and exposed, riding through the chaos on a deck that's tilting, rolling, and getting slammed by walls of seawater. It's brutal out there, but this is how the US Navy protects its fleet. The ocean doesn't give polite warnings. It speaks in signals, and the Navy listens to every one of them. Days before a storm ever hits, carrier meteorologists are already on the move, tracking pressure systems that stretch across hundreds of miles of restless ocean. They're watching everything at once: satellites from the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA, orbiting high above, weather buoys drifting in the waves, coastal stations along faraway shores, even reports from nearby ships. Every bit of that data funnels deep into the ship's meteorological and oceanographic center, a small windowless room inside the carrier where forecasters grind through shifts 24/7. Their mission isn't just to call the weather, it's to predict how the ship itself will handle it. They calculate every factor: wind speed, wave height, sea state, even the exact angle of the swells hitting the hull. A 30-foot wave slamming the bow might be fine, but that same monster wave catching the side, that's a whole different danger. Using next-level computer models, the meteorology team maps out storm paths up to 72 hours ahead. These aren't random guesses. They're backed by math, science, and experience. They factor in everything from pressure gradients to sea surface temps and decades of storm patterns in the area. When a developing system pops up on their screens, the data shoots straight to the bridge. There, the commanding officer takes one look and makes the call. If the storm's track gives even a sliver of room, the carrier pushes full throttle. 30 knots of steel slicing through the sea. A Nimitz or Ford-class carrier can cover more than 800 miles in a single day, enough to outrun most storms entirely. But sometimes, the sea gives no mercy. Either the mission keeps them locked in position, or the storm is just too big, too fast, too close. That's when things get real. The crew doesn't panic, they prepare. Orders echo from the bridge, calm but sharp. All hands, heavy weather procedures, secure the ship. Instantly, the entire crew moves. Sea state 6, waves between 13 and 20 feet, winds screaming past 40 knots. Tough, but a carrier can take it. If it gets worse, it climbs to sea state 7, then 8. And when it hits 9, waves are towering past 45 feet, with winds roaring over 55 knots. That's when the real grind begins. On deck, the aircraft division bursts into action. Yellow shirts, brown shirts, blue shirts, every color means a job, every move counts. These sailors know their routines by heart. The jets start shifting because on a carrier nothing's parked at random. Normally, planes line up near the catapults ready for launch. But in a storm, that whole strategy flips. The goal isn't speed anymore, it's survival. The aircraft are rolled toward the center of the deck, away from the edges where the wind is wildest and the waves strike hardest. They're packed tight, wingtip to wingtip, so gusts can't lift or twist them. Then the chains come out, massive steel beasts weighing over 40 pounds each. Deck crews haul them up from storage and lock them into reinforced tie-down points on each jet. Every aircraft gets between 6 and 9 chains depending on its size and weight. FA-18S get at least 6, but the bigger E-2D Hawkeyes, they need even more. The chains are cranked down tight with ratcheting devices until there's zero slack. No movement, no mercy. The jets become one with the ship. But that's not all. Chocks and wheel blocks go down in front and behind every tire, locking them in like they're part of the deck itself. When the storm hits, there's no turning back. The sea roars, the ship shudders, and billions of dollars in metal and muscle face nature head on. The Navy doesn't flinch, they brace, they secure, and they ride it out. Those heavy rubber wedges, called chocks, are no joke. They're jammed tight against every wheel, locking the jets in place so they don't roll an inch, even when the deck tilts like a wild ride at sea. Every single tie-down gets checked twice. First by the sailor who secured it, then by a supervisor who double-checks every link. There's zero room for mistakes out here. One loose chain in 60-knot winds could turn a $70 million jet into a 30,000-pound missile tearing across the deck. While the crew topside locks down the aircraft, the hangar bay below transforms into its own battlefield of preparation. Not every jet stays up in the storm. Some are sent below deck, tucked safely into the hangar bay, a massive steel cavern stretching almost the full length of the carrier. But getting a jet down there isn't easy. It's a high-stakes operation. The aircraft elevators come alive, giant platforms capable of lifting 130,000 pounds at a time. 4 of them stand ready on a Nimitz or Ford-class carrier, each one rising and lowering with precision as deck handlers and elevator crews coordinate every move through headsets and hand signals. Once the aircraft make it below, the same lockdown routine begins. Chains, straps, chocks, it's all repeated with military precision. Down here, the jets are shielded from the wind and waves, safe behind massive watertight hangar doors that seal shut like the lid on a fortress. But it's not just the aircraft getting secured. The entire ship goes into storm mode. The carrier isn't just a floating airbase, it's a city at sea, and when a storm's closing in, that city has to lock itself down tight. Deep inside the vessel, Damage Control Central becomes the nerve center. From here, officers track every system, every compartment, every possible weak point across the ship. Watertight doors and hatches, hundreds of them, get sealed one by one. Each is built to isolate flooding, keeping seawater trapped and contained if it breaches the hull. The ventilation systems are adjusted too. Air intakes and exhausts on the upper decks are closed or rerouted, making sure water doesn't get sucked into engine rooms or electrical spaces. Every move is deliberate. One wrong vent open and chaos follows. Up on the bridge, the officer of the deck teams up with the helmsman and navigation crew to figure out the perfect heading. A carrier's bow is built like a blade. It slices through waves beautifully when facing forward. But if the waves strike from the side, that's when the ship starts rolling hard. And that's dangerous business. So the goal is to face the storm head-on, but not directly. Usually they angle the ship about 15 to 30 degrees off the bow to soften the impact and balance the motion. Speed control is everything. Too fast, and the bow slams into wave crests so hard it could damage the hull or stress the flight deck. Too slow, and the ship loses steering control, leaving it vulnerable to being tossed sideways by the swells. The sweet spot? Around 10 to 15 knots, just enough to keep the carrier steady and maneuverable. Below the waterline, the ballast system kicks in. These massive tanks inside the hull can fill or drain seawater to shift the ship's weight and balance. It's like the carrier adjusting its own posture, keeping the center of gravity low and the buoyancy high. This creates what sailors call a righting moment, a built-in force that pulls the ship upright whenever it starts to roll. The rougher the sea, the stronger that righting force fights back. It's pure physics keeping a 100,000-ton beast steady in chaos. Then the storm finally arrives. And it doesn't creep in, it attacks. The first warning isn't rain, it's the wind. It builds from a steady whistle to a furious roar, 50, 60, even 70 knots screaming across the deck. The ocean turns wild, the sky darkens, and the entire carrier braces for the fight of its life. Visibility vanishes as rain and salt water mix into a swirling grey fog that swallows the entire ship. Every loose item is instantly gone, swept overboard or smashed into steel bulkheads with bone-shaking force. The flight deck, usually a scene of precise chaos, now stands empty and eerie. Only the rows of chained aircraft remain, ghostly silhouettes under flashing stormlights. Then come the waves, monsters of the deep, crashing over the bow in 20, 30, sometimes even 40-foot walls of water. They slam into the forward edge of the ship and roar across the deck like liquid freight trains. Inside, the crew feels every brutal tilt, 10 degrees, 15 degrees, and in the worst storms, up to 25 degrees of roll. It might not sound like much, but on a 1,000-foot carrier, that tilt means the deck edges are swinging over 40 feet up and down. Imagine walking on that while the whole world lurches under you. During those hours, life aboard slows to pure survival mode. Meals get delayed, movement is limited to essential crew only, and handrails become your lifeline. Literally. Down in the hangar bay, jets stay locked in place, chained and chocked, unmoving even as the ship groans around them. Up on the bridge, the watch team never looks away from their screens. Sensors feed real-time pitch and roll data to glowing monitors, while the helmsman makes constant micro-adjustments, keeping the bow aligned with the waves. Deep below, engineering crews keep the nuclear reactors humming, pushing steady power through the ship, while propulsion systems respond instantly to every order from the bridge. Every department stays locked in, calm under pressure, the system working exactly as it was built to. And then, slowly, the rage of the storm begins to fade. After hours, or sometimes a full day, the winds start to ease, the waves lose their teeth, and the rain turns into a soft mist. On the bridge, the meteorologist gives the report everyone's been waiting for. The storm has passed. The order goes out. Secure from heavy weather. Begin flight deck inspection. Crew members emerge from below, stepping out into the wet, wind-blown deck wearing full foul weather gear. Every move is careful and deliberate, boots gripping the slick, non-skid surface as they inspect every aircraft, every chain, every tie-down. They check for cracks, tension, corrosion. Nothing escapes their eyes. Most of the time, everything's still locked tight, jets right where they were left, soaked but untouched. Sometimes they'll find minor damage, a bent antenna here, a loose access panel there, but it's all logged, fixed and cleared fast. The aircraft remain mission-ready, standing proud against the aftermath of the storm. Because survival isn't the only goal, it's to come out the other side ready to fight. This level of preparation isn't luck, it's the result of hard discipline, detailed procedures and unshakable teamwork. From the meteorologists tracking pressure systems days ahead, to the deck crews securing every aircraft in the chaos, to the bridge team steering through 30-foot walls of water. Every sailor has a role, and every move matters. The carrier itself is a masterpiece of design. Built to withstand punishment that would tear smaller ships apart, it's divided into hundreds of sealed compartments, so even if one floods, the rest stay watertight and stable. The aircraft too are built for extremes. Fighter jets that can handle bone-crushing G-forces, catapult launches, and landings that stop them from 150 miles per hour to 0 in 2 seconds. Compared to that, even a raging ocean storm is just another day at work. And once it's over, the Navy wastes no time. Operations resume almost immediately, jets launch, missions continue, and the carrier powers forward like nothing ever happened. There's a legendary story that proves this resilience. Back in December 1944, during World War II, the US Third Fleet got caught in the infamous Typhoon Cobra, also known as Halsey's Typhoon. It was a nightmare at sea. Winds screamed past 100 knots, and waves towered over 70 feet high. 3 destroyers capsized and sank, taking nearly 800 sailors with them. Planes were ripped from their tie-downs and hurled into the ocean, and several ships were left battered and dead in the water. But the carriers survived. Among the crew that faced the fury of Typhoon Cobra was a young officer named Gerald Ford. Yes, the same Gerald Ford who would later become President of the United States. He fought fires aboard the USS Monterey, helped save his ship, and watched it limp back to port, damaged but alive. That storm changed the Navy forever. From that disaster came tougher tie-down standards, sharper storm forecasting, and stronger ship-securing procedures. Modern carriers are bigger, steadier, and packed with tech, but the core philosophy remains the same. Prepare, secure, adapt, survive. Because out here, the mission doesn't stop for weather. Not ever. Now let's turn this on you. If you were the commanding officer of a carrier and a monster storm was closing in, would you try to outrun it, or would you hold your ground and ride it out? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to know your call. If you've made it this far, hit that like button and subscribe for more true Navy stories that pull back the curtain on life at sea. No Hollywood, no exaggeration, just the real deal. And if you want to go the extra mile and support the channel, hit join on our page to become part of the fleet. You'll get loyalty badges, priority replies, and help keep these incredible maritime stories alive. Thanks for watching. Stay sharp out there. And remember, when the storm hits, the Navy doesn't run, it adapts.